making it all the way from the East Coast. Please, let's all give a warm London welcome to William Taylor from Relocity, joining him.
Can you all hear me? Yes, awesome. Thank you. I had the pleasure of meeting the voice of God in the men's room at the break, and so I do want to confirm that he is a real human being. It is not an AI voice. And he's waving at me. Somebody's waving at me. You can hear me? Yes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I am delighted to be here. My name is William Taylor. I'm Senior VP of Business Development at Relocity. I am a longtime fan of AltoVita. I have admired this outstanding team and the innovation that they have brought to this industry for many, many years. I remember the early days of COVID. I had the joy of participating in one of your innovation summits, the design thinking. And what I love most about AltoVita is, you know, they're constantly listening to the needs of their customers and clients and really just continually iterating and bringing some long overdue innovation to our industry. So kudos to what you've built. We're just delighted to be a part of that journey. I'm going to hand it over to my esteemed panelists and let them introduce themselves. So Beverly, over to you.
Thanks, William. What a great introduction. Hi, everyone. I think there's a lot of familiar faces in the room. I'm Beverly King. I'm VP of Client Partnerships here at AltoVita. Joined last year after around 6 years in a prior role in a relocation management company. And before that, 18 years, which sounds a long time now I think about it, in the world of HR, corporate HR, reward and global mobility. So I've sat in the kind of the doing role from the corporate side as well as in the service side, and I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you.
Wonderful to be here, absolutely. Thanks for inviting us. My name is Natascha. I'm the Director of Business Development for Bristol Global Mobility. We're a relocation management company. My journey in relocation started about 25 years ago, so not exactly yesterday, and I started actually in Singapore. That was my first job in relocation, and from there it just went on. And 25 years later, having lived on 3 continents, worked on 4, I'm just embracing global mobility every single day. My daughter is also a third culture kid, so what we preach here every day is what I live every day too. Thank you.
Thank you, Natascha.
Hi everyone, I'm Khadeeja. I'm the head of global mobility at Aggreko, which is a utilities company. I've been in global mobility, I think, around 19 years as well. Predominantly, it's all been in-house, apart from 2 months that I went to the dark side. And I'm...
There's no dark side. It's all light.
There's no dark side.
It's all light. We're all part of the same team. Yes.
But I'm delighted to be here with you all today as well. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Khadeeja. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits and promise of an integrated ecosystem. We heard from the speakers this morning around some of the great achievements that AltoVita is making through the Alto universe with the integrations that they've facilitated all for the many different individuals that touch their platform. And I think that you know, making that a seamless experience for what is ultimately a fairly complex journey is a real achievement. And I think as someone who's also been in the industry for 25 years, you know, the industry as a whole has talked in depth for years about this seamless experience. And I think we are finally at that point where the technology, the commitment from the partnerships, we're really starting to see some advancements along that integrated ecosystem. And so with that, I want to sort of kick it off with we won't spend too much time on the slides, but we'll keep them up as sort of talking points. And I think, you know, on the right side, of course, you know, sort of the legacy experience is the many silos that exist in this industry. There are many different touch points, many different suppliers, and we all are part of this amazing complex dance called corporate mobility and business travel, right? And it's not easy to move a family from one point to across a border and make that a great experience and get them set up for success. It takes many different individuals, systems, platforms, content, support throughout that journey. And so as we look to the future, this integrated mobility ecosystem is really going to start driving greater efficiency and really best-in-class relocations, right? So let's turn it over to the panelists here. And let's think about how integration of digital platforms has really transformed the way your organization collaborates with the ecosystem partners and really starts to drive this better experience. Natascha, we're going to pick on you, our friends on the RMC side. Tell us how you're thinking about this. How are you evolving sort of your thought process around an integrated ecosystem?
Very good question. So when we think about, and you mentioned the word touch points, when we think about relocation, right, when we think of the experience of the employee and the family who's going through the journey of moving from A to B, there are so many touch points in their lives, and sometimes they don't know, who am I going to call? Am I going to call William? Am I going to call Bev? Am I going to call this person, that person? Because there are just so many touch points. So for me, or for the world of the RMC, I believe that the ecosystem and the integration of various platforms can reduce the touch points. And that's really about the employee experience, right? We want to make that journey for the individual and for the family really smooth and exciting, that when they hit the ground running at the host location, they're ready for whatever is coming next. And I believe the integration of all the ecosystem partners in an ideal way would reduce those touch points and therefore give a huge advantage to the individuals and to the corporations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to touch on, of course, the AI piece and how that is really accelerating some of the promise of the integrations here. Khadeeja, as a corporate buyer of mobility services and solutions, how do you, what are you looking for in an ecosystem or a partnership, and what are the gaps that this type of solution can address?
So we're actually looking for seamlessness, exactly as you said, and anything that will automate and take away manual effort from all of the different stakeholders involved in the whole process end to end. And I think having an integrated ecosystem will allow us to be able to do that. And from a corporate buyer's perspective, it will allow us to focus on the kind of value-added activities and knowing that our kind of trusted partners can take care of the rest of it. From a mobility perspective in-house, I think most of us know and understand it just doesn't take a global mobility advisor or global mobility manager to do it alone. It takes a whole village. So bringing all of our kind of partners together in one seamless way will improve, I guess, the process for everybody. And then we'll get a lot less noise from the business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you are meeting with prospective partners to work with, is that are you asking them, are you digging into sort of what kind of integrations exist? How do you create this seamless journey? Is this part of your qualification process?
So we're actually on our way in embracing technology and AI and ecosystems, et cetera, at the moment. So it's very current for us. And what we're looking for is partners, first and foremost, not just kind of, vendors.
Thank you for using that term as well, because I think, and I am hearing more and more folks refer to the ecosystem as partners. We're not vendors. A vendor's a machine. You push a button, you get a Coca-Cola.
Exactly.
We're so much more than that. So I appreciate you being deliberate with that language.
No, we're definitely looking for partners who understand what it is that we're trying to achieve and who are willing to embrace our whole ecosystem to make that whole process seamless from end to end through whether it's APIs, integration. I mean, we're going a step further with actually, because technology can only do so much, we're looking at what the individuals themselves can bring as well. So we're having kind of holistic project meetings incorporating both our internal stakeholders and our external stakeholders together. So we're showing the business that we're actually able to deliver end to end.
Yeah, and I love that you talked so much about this, sort of bringing all the stakeholders together. And when we were preparing for this panel, we had a lengthy discussion about what is an ecosystem and what is an integration. And it's not necessarily the technology. Technology is certainly an enabler of the support that the humans will provide. But can you dig into a little bit of what we talked about in the prep session about how this integration is not necessarily all technology driven?
It's not. Technology's there to complement. We still need the trusted partners to be able to help us deliver. Because when you're joining calls what we're finding is, especially we've got big projects going on, it's all about collaboration and communication. And sometimes, for instance, we might look at something from an immigration perspective, but it can have a knock-on effect from a tax perspective. So having the partners together will enable us to kind of see it through end to end. So I think that's really helping us deliver success.
I think
process.
getting your partner teams to all row in the same manner and really buy into your values, that is the key to success, right? Obviously, the technology
Absolutely.
integrations will help facilitate some of that efficiency and productivity gains that we're all looking for. But I think more than anything, having a team that really buys into the one team, one dream model is essential, right? Okay, let's talk about AI, right? It's going to come up a few times today. B, we're going to pick on you. Maybe not pick on you, but AI plays a role in personalization and recommendations. And as we think about the power of this integrated ecosystem, and in a moment, we're going to talk a little bit about agentic AI and how agentic AI really allows us to overcome and address the need to build complex APIs, because the agents are doing so much of the work for us now throughout the day. And it's this amazing automation process that allows the agents to look at gaps for us or identify an immigration or tax risk and flag those risks for the mobility leaders, the business traveler, the travel managers, et cetera, and really help the humans provide that high impact work that we all want to deliver, right? So, B, how are you using AI to match temporary housing solutions with the unique needs of relocating employees or business travelers?
Spoiler alert. We're going to cover a lot of this in our app session and our AI session a little bit later on. But essentially, it's all about understanding the needs of the individual. And I think you spoke about that just now, Khadeeja, that various different people, and we spoke about that this morning. Carolina talked about the difference between the executive and maybe the Gen Z person who, they're going to have very different experience and expectations. So someone may have relocated before or be a very confident business traveler, for example, whereas someone else may not have had any kind of experience at all. So understanding those needs, and then within the app itself, also perhaps inputting things that are important to them, whether that's dog walking or particular types of cuisine, so that when they're in a location, all of those kind of preferences are coming through as recommendations for them to make their stay more meaningful, more relevant to them. So I think that's one of the big things that AI can help from a personalization from the employee experience side. However, there's also the back end. So you spoke about this earlier, William, and the trusted partnerships, right? So if AI is helping us as the providers, whether that's us as the accommodation solution, the relocation management companies, or even the housing providers themselves, if we can create the options and present the solutions and the pricing and the availability that much faster, those people who are having those touch points with the individuals are going to have a more meaningful relationship with the people that they're serving, because they're not bogged down in that admin time, sourcing and kind of managing a higher level of workload. They're
100%.
Getting more time to do the stuff that they enjoy, which I know from speaking to our customer success managers is the interaction with the people that they're working with, or whether that's a relocation consultant in a global mobility relocation management company, or a direct corporate, or a travel management company. It's those interactions that make more impact. And then at the end of the day, also the speed, the agility of getting those solutions out there is going to cut down cost.
Yeah.
And now we all know that cost is a big thing for everybody at the moment, and it doesn't matter where you are, where you're sitting, cost is a huge focus. So if AI can also drive that, it's a huge benefit.
100%. It's interesting because it's, the cost savings theme comes up every year, and we always pretend that it's a new theme for the year. Oh, this year we're talking about cost savings. No, we've been talking about it for 25 years, I think.
Sorry, I was just going to add as well,
Yeah.
the ability to nudge. So even from our customer success managers side, if housing options are nudged to them to say, based on the specific needs of the employee, based on other stays that other employees within the same organisation have had, it will make that speed to source much faster.
100%. And I think as you think about the the real integration that happens between the various service providers that support a business traveler or a mobile worker, that is when we can really start to personalize and curate that experience. Because as we share what's most important to those families or those individuals, you can address that in providing the right solutions, whether it's corporate housing, destination services, temp out, whatever it might be. We're all learning together. And I think what's really amazing about the AI and the automation that's all happening right now is it really does free up the humans in our business to think proactively. AI is not going to drive the sick intern to the hospital. It's not going to create community events to drive engagement amongst the interns. But the CSMs on your team can think about that now because there's more space in their day, there's more space in their brain to deliver this. And we know that our industry can be fueled by a lot of tactical or administrative work. That's important. But as we build out these integrations and really look for ways to drive curation and personalization, I think it creates a lot of exciting opportunities for us, right? Natascha, we hear a lot about digital transformation, right? I keep hearing from some of the HR leaders and the mobility leaders in our space that they're really committed to these journeys, right? Are you hearing this from your clients as well? And how are you thinking of, how are you approaching that as an RMC and supporting those initiatives?
So what Khadeeja was saying a little bit, what Khadeeja was saying a little bit earlier on is like this integration of partners, right? And as an RMC, what we are looking for with our clients as well as with our partners is really that 360 global mobility, right? We don't want to do anything in isolation. We want to be partner. We want to be partner not only with the corporate client, but with all the ecosystem partners which come along. What is the travel partner, the immigration partner, corporate housing, language training, cross-cultural training, any type of industry or vertical or horizontal service which touches global mobility. We want to have that integration in the ideal situation in order to have that 360 outlook for the seamless, for the quicker, better, faster.
Yeah.
However, while this sounds really wonderful, we have data protection, right? So data protection, unfortunately, is like a blocker. So as much as we want to have that integration, and we as an RMC have direct plug-ins with various of our partners, we can't do it holistically with everybody because of data protection, but also if we think about it, I don't know how many systems each one of us are working on, but we work on lots of different systems, right?
Yeah.
Different passwords, different logins. The password requirement changes every 25 days, 41 days. You have to think, when was the last time I changed my password? But really, when you then have those information on whatever platform you're using, while some of them talk to them, they not all talk to each other. So really what you need is a data lake.
Yeah.
You need a data lake, a holistic suppository, a single source of truth, where from all your echo partners, the information flow in. So this is a wish list, right? I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I don't know, maybe Ben has some other information on that. But that would be the ideal situation. But again, it comes to partnering with corporate and with all your partners to make sure it's a seamless integration.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned data lake, and we have Soren here who's from Databricks. We're not going to pick on him right now because he's going to speak in a moment. But Databricks offers a solution that allows you to add structured and unstructured data to a massive database and then leverage their AI to actually start making sense of that. And I think that's where the real power of the integrated ecosystem comes in, is ensuring that you're no longer having to change passwords for 10 platforms because you still live in one platform, right? You may live in one platform as the RMC or the mobility leader, and then your employees have access to that front end, that unified front end, right?
Actually, can I just add one thing? So we're also talking about dashboards, right? And we all love dashboards because it's this visibility and all, or whatever we're doing. But what we actually haven't mentioned today or so far is sustainability, right?
Yeah.
So we're all talking about EMS, EMG. We want to make sure we're all sustainable. So how we can leverage AI as well is getting all these data and really having the truth of the sustainability and how much we're giving back to the planet, or how do we achieve net zero in 2050 or before. So I think AI, we can leverage that as well by having the 360 data of all our partners flow into an AI system where we then calculate the various sustainability efforts which we're doing.
I love that. And honestly, I mean, AltoVita has been doing that for a number of years, is being so transparent with the CO2 impact of certain units. I'd love to see the entire industry adopt that approach, whether you're booking a one-day in-person tour or virtual tour with a DSP, or do you need a full pack and load, or can you have a small shipment, and really looking at the impact of those decisions on carbon emissions, right? And so I think as we integrate more and we have access to more data, we can be more transparent with those options, right? Khadeeja, you have a thought.
No, I
Did
was
you have-
agreeing.
you-
I was agreeing.
Oh, okay, okay.
I was thinking
Agreeing is
This is exactly what we want from a corporate
I love
buyer
it.
side.
Awesome.
So thank you,
Well-
Natascha.
We'll talk after.
we want to hear more about your journey, right? But I want to talk a little bit about agentic AI and give you a quick example of how it works, right? You are going to hear more and more about it's not an initiative, it's a protocol known as Model Context Protocol. It was invented by a company called Anthropic. They're a leader in the AI space. But MCP has been adopted by all of the big players, Microsoft and Amazon and Database, Snowflake. They all subscribe and can plug in or leverage the MCP servers. So why is MCP important? MCP allows you to create AI agents and train those agents to go out and look for and perform certain tasks and learn and personalize the experience. And I know Benjamin from the COSM no doubt is leveraging AI and MCPs to create a better experience, whether it's tax or immigration. The entire industry is going to be using more and more of this technology, and I'm excited to hear from Anton later today to get more insight on what AltoVita is doing in this area. But I'm going to give you a quick video on the power of agentic AI and MCP.
Here we see part of a chat where Jean-Claude asks about schools for his fourth grader, Elaine, and the chat responds with highly relevant, curated information that any parent would find useful. His earlier chats included asking about how to move internationally and also how to transport his pet pug, Charlie, to San Francisco. But let's look at what's happening across the app beyond just written responses. The app learns Jean-Claude is traveling with his wife, an 8-year-old son, Louis, a 10-year-old daughter, Elaine, and their pet pug, Charlie. We even know his budget for his move. In the background, AI agents have been using tools to curate areas across the app in a similar process as we showed with the personalized relocation avatar, only at a much larger scale. Jean-Claude's experience in the app refreshes with a map showing relevant schools, a recommended mover based on his budget and move size, a pet transportation service perfect for Charlie, a way to directly contact his immigration service provider, and an update in his personalized relocation avatar from earlier. This is the scalable power agentic AI can bring within a relocation app.
This is just a simple example of how we're leveraging it. I know there's some great suppliers and partners in the industry that are on that same journey. AltoVita is on a fantastic journey around technology and innovation. We're going to hear more about the AI. There might still be gaps in this employee experience. What are those gaps?
I think there's the unexpected, right? So
Yeah.
the example where something happens on someone's journey, or the visa doesn't come in as expected on time.
Yeah.
These are the things we can't always plan for. The emergency situation, obviously, with many different kind of geopolitical issues going on at the moment, there's a lot that's still unplanned that we can't always predict. Although I think the more we go on, the AI is going to help us to anticipate some of those things.
100%. And as you think about the power of a connected ecosystem, that's a perfect example. A visa delay, or something happened at the consulate, or my child is sick and we can't fly tomorrow, right? That affects so many downstream events in a cross-border relocation. The move-in date, the pack and load date, the delivery date, the date for your area tour, the date, right? So,
Or even in a business trip.
Even in a business
trip. You
trip.
get sick, you miss
Yeah.
your flight, and then maybe the next one is not for 7 hours and you're only going for 1 day or 2 days.
100%.
It impacts the whole trip.
But these platforms that understand your preferences and your needs can start to flag what happens next. Not just flag, but actually take the actions. And that's where things get really excited, is because the human no longer needs to identify all of those different things that happen next, because the platforms will flag it, right? I'm looking at our time. I know we have just a few minutes left. You've been on a very interesting transformation journey, right? And I think a lot of folks here would really benefit from understanding what was the impetus that kicked this off, and how have you made that business case to your leadership?
So the journey that I've been on, just for everybody's information, is that I think we're still stuck in the dark ages of Microsoft. So in order to manage our global mobility end to end, so we finally got the approval to have a global mobility management system to help leverage that whole process for us. I've been kind of, I would say, battling. Ben's nodding away, and so is everybody else who probably knows my journey. Very hard to try and have the sell, because as everyone knows, global mobility systems are quite expensive.
Yeah.
And we, as an organisation, had gone through a journey of our own in terms of being bought out by private equity, so cash is king.
Yep.
However, the way that I finally got it to work, or got the business case approved, was by demonstrating the value that it would add, not just to global mobility and the assignees, but everybody else who's involved in that process as well. And that was
Absolutely.
the seller. So as soon as they found out the savings that they would have from time, money, etc., for the various stakeholders up and down the organisation, it was a
100%.
no-brainer.
The procurement team, the travel manager, business travelers,
HR, everyone,
all the various
finance,
different personas that we
straight away
support.
they were like,
Yeah.
oh, this is very interesting. Now let's
Yeah.
consider this. So that's how we've got the approval.
I love that. Yeah.
And we're almost at the end of the selection process. So
Okay.
hopefully it's going to be all guns blazing for us. And
That sounds great. Well, maybe next year we'll hear more about where you are on the journey.
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I love it.
With all these
I'm already
integrations
inviting
and
her back. Just
ecosystems.
Vivi, Carolina, just so you know, put her on the agenda. Natascha and B, I want to ask you, how do you help your clients and prospects make that business case? How do you demonstrate the ROI? I know we talk about that so much in our space.
ROI is really important, but before you know ROI, you actually need to know your KPIs,
Yeah.
right? You need to know what are you actually measuring. And the measurements are partially in dollars or pounds or any other currency you can think of, but it's also satisfaction, right? Employee satisfaction, corporate satisfaction. So how do you make your case? You need to know your audience. You need to know the language they understand. So broadly speaking, if you speak to a person who is in finance, typically they would like to have a lot of evidence, right? They want the numbers, they want the evidence, they want the cost savings. You talk to somebody in HR, typically they're very socially adept and socially focused. So they want to know, do you have a headache? Do you have migraine? Are you okay? So being able to adapt in this business world to your audience and then pledge your case, depending on who you're speaking to, while you know all the facts before you pledge your case. I think that is a good recipe.
Yeah, absolutely. B, what are your thoughts on demonstrating ROI?
Absolutely, as Natascha said, it's about knowing the audience, so knowing what their KPIs are, their needs as a program. So whether that's consistency, and some clients may not be that fussed about consistency, but others are very kind of focused on having a consistent experience no matter where in the world. The satisfaction rates, again, everyone wants low noise, but some are more focused on that than others. Time saving, so is it the agility to get someone somewhere, to have that real-time booking that we spoke about this morning, which then impacts on their productivity in a positive way, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then also from a savings perspective. So again, understanding the client, are they a low market, are they a medium market, or are they a high market budget? Because there's no point in saying, oh, you're saving all these costs, but actually they really want to give the employee the best experience and have the best quality, the most expensive properties. Yes, if they're low budget. So I think it's just understanding those different particularities and then answering to those with the client and spending time and then delivering those with the right reporting and statistics.
Yeah, 100%. You touched on a piece that is really, I think, of interest to me and to certainly at Relocity as well, and others in the industry, and that is productivity gains, efficiency. And it's not just for the transferee. The transferee, obviously, we want to get them set up for success, get their family feeling that they're part of this community, because we know if they can be more productive, that immediately impacts the company's bottom line, right? But it is also for the greater ecosystem partners, driving efficiency across everyone who touches that employee, so that, again, we can do that impactful work that I know we all love doing, right?
Yeah, we're all stretched, right? Everybody, whether you're the corporate, within your team, everyone's being asked to do more, whether you're your service provider. So it's being able to do more with less.
100%. And I think the AI really offers some interesting and exciting moments to start giving more consideration to how we drive efficiency and really bring it back to this seamless journey, right? So with that, we are beyond time. I'm sorry that we didn't save time for Q&A. I just want to extend a great thanks to our panelists. Thank you, B, Natascha, Khadeeja. That was a lot of fun. And thank you to the AltoVita team for hosting us.
Thanks, William.
Thank you.
I promise I'm going to click through the final slides that we did not just... I might have to play this video before I get to the final slide. So I will leave you with this. Carolina is excited. This is one more example of integrated ecosystem in action using AI agents and MCP.
A notification like a cancelled flight brings with it a laundry list of tasks and a mountain of stress. After all, it's not just a cancelled flight that needs to be rebooked, and an international flight adds more complexities. Jean-Claude will need to reschedule his ride to the airport, update the pickup date of his rental car, update his move-in date for temp housing and coordinate getting the keys, and, depending on how quickly the international flight with his full family can get rebooked, reschedule his area tour with his DSP consultant. Let's watch how agentic AI executes a complex set of actions and easily accomplish all of the tasks which reside on different disconnected platforms. Agentic AI leverages something very powerful to make it even more effective, MCP, or Model Context Protocol. It's like a modern upgrade to APIs for AI agents. Instead of manually wiring every detail, MCP lets agents share the right info at the right time, making cross-platform collaboration more fluid and intelligent. It's how agents from one system engage other agents on other systems to get work done. In our missed flight example, one AI agent reaches out to multiple service providers through each of their own MCP servers. Each MCP server responds, then activates its own internal agents with specific instructions to handle rebooking, rescheduling, and notifications across its own service. And then each communicates back to provide updates along the process, bringing greater levels of productivity and efficiency into an otherwise manual process. The results: a rebooked flight, updated plans, informed teams, and a lot less stress for everyone involved, especially Jean-Claude. This evolutionary step is only made possible through the use of MCP, with partners working together to make this a reality. Agentic AI is continuing to evolve, and global talent mobility is ready to evolve with it.